Charlotte. Okay, and if you ever took my class, then you know that I always have my students call me by my English name, Charlotte. Okay, so in the next 90 minutes, if you have any questions, just call me Charlotte. Okay, I would like to know your background a little bit very quickly, because I'm not sure like where you're from and which level you're teaching at. So how many of you are from Taipei City? Raise your hand. Taipei City. Okay, how many of you are from Taipei County? Okay, anyone else are from outside these two areas? Okay, which city or county? Yilan. Hualien. So you had to get here last night?
Yeah, this morning.
This morning! Oh my God! Very diligent. Okay, where else?
Kaohsiung.
Also this morning?
No, last night.
Last night. How did you manage to get here this morning from Hualien? You took the earliest train?
That's right. 6:15.
6:15. Oh my God. We're still in sleep, right, at that time. Okay, where else? Huli. So also got here last night? Wow, Huli. Okay, are we done with this section? Okay, how about people here? Yilan as well, okay.
Taoyuan.
Taoyuan, not too bad. Taoyuan compared with Hualien or Huli or Kaohsiung.
Taoyuan.
Taoyuan. What else?
Here, Hualien.
Hualien, wow. Do you know each other, Hualien? No, we can probably go back together if you bought your ticket. It's usually not offered in the English curriculum, for a lot of requirements. And I think the reason why it's not as popularly offered as courses like speech or debate, conversation, is probably because first, it's kind of scary. Okay? It's not just scary for students. It's actually scary for teachers. Okay, so if it's something that's kind of scary, the teacher, himself or herself is not really that confident or comfortable teaching a subject like that. Then they're thinking, okay, this is an oral training course. I may as well just teach speech or conversation, or do some simple, basic oral training. Okay, not to touch upon something so challenging, so complicated as argumentation or debate. Okay. But for the past 10 years, or a little bit more than 10 years, I've been teaching English debate in my department. And the more I teach this course, the more I think it's really something that we need to promote, not just to English majors, but also to even high school students. How many of you are from high schools? Raise your hand. Senior high schools. Okay, so the rest of you are from junior high. Okay, junior high, it can be somewhat challenging, but it doesn't mean that there's nothing that you're going to learn in the next 90 minutes that cannot be applied to your class. But I consider a lot of things I'm going to cover today can be applied to high school classes, senior high school classes. Okay. Let me just give you a very, very brief definition of what I have found from the online dictionary about argumentation, okay, or argument. Okay, what argumentation is basically an argument. Okay, it's a process of providing arguments, exchanging arguments. So what is an argument? Okay, according to this online dictionary, argument is a discussion in which reasons are advanced for and against some proposition or proposal. Okay, so right there, we have some key concepts. Reasons, right? Okay, so when we are engaged in some kind of argument or argumentation, what we should be relying on primarily should be our reasons, okay, not our emotions. Okay, so that's very, very important. Some room for discussion, leave some room for dispute or debate. Okay, we'll talk about that very soon. Okay, so you have that, general understanding had in mind about what an argument is. Then please turn to the first page of your handout. Okay, you will see this model. This actually, is some kind of work in progress. This model is developed in a project I'm currently involved in. project sponsored by National Science Council, NSC. And in this project, basically, I have been teaching an argumentation course to some high school students from Heping Gaozhong, Heping Senior High. Okay? Because I would really like to see how well a course like this can be received by high school students. And we're talking about, you guys know the school's PR values much better than I do. I just assume that Heping is somewhere in the middle. Okay, it's not like Shida Puzhong or Beijing or Jianzhou, and it's not as low as some other schools. It's kind of like placed in the middle. Okay, I think that's the reason why I picked Heping particularly. And we started this course like in early March, and pretty much just like 4 meetings a month. So we have covered from early March till now, roughly 12 meetings. And I really see some progress in students' performance. Probably not as much in their oral ability, but definitely in their ability to reason, to think more critically. Okay, so that's something that you also have to bear in mind when you're teaching students something about argumentation. Sometimes their oral ability probably does not really show this very obvious improvement, but you can really see they definitely can think, can react much more quickly, sometimes even more quickly than you as a teacher. So please take a look at this model. Okay, take a look at the part in the middle, this box in the middle. Argumentation process. As I just mentioned at the beginning, when it comes to doing argumentation, this is such a complicated, challenging oral activity. It definitely entails a lot of abilities. Okay, so if you want to teach students argumentation, you yourself have to ask yourself, what are these abilities that are entailed, required by an activity like argumentation? Okay, so for this model, basically I laid out all the critical, essential abilities I consider should be somewhat covered in your, it is a package, a whole package course, and it should be included in your course. And if you cannot offer this package in a complete sense, then you can pull out whatever elements or ability that you think will be most helpful and useful for your students. Probably just give instruction for 1 hour every now and then to cover those elements or abilities. But you look at the model, the box in the middle. Argumentation, okay, it's a process. Then this process basically can be divided into 1, 2, 3, 4. I consider like 4 specific stages. Okay, the first stage will begin with what? Position. Okay, position. Okay, as I said, argumentation is about issues that leave room for debate or dispute. So if that's the case, then definitely the people or the parties involved can express their position regarding this issue, right? Okay, so if you want your student to do a little bit argumentation, the first thing you are going to ask them to do is to state their position very clearly. And this is actually a very general, this concept I think can be applied to a lot of oral activities or oral events, even for interviews, right? You come to attend an interview and people ask you questions, and very often you will say, well, I personally believe blah 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 blah, right? So that's a statement about your position, and then you kind of elaborate why you believe so. Okay, so for argumentation, the same thing. Students should be able to clearly state their position regarding that somewhat controversial issue. Okay. Okay. When it comes to position, okay, we'll talk about this later. Okay. And then after position, okay, you can ask them to provide reasons, and that's what we mean by justification. Justification. If you use a simpler